Hello, everybody. This is Andre Khatchaturian alongside Mike Cole. Welcome in to the Spread, Armenian Sports News betting podcast. We're recording this on Monday, September 1, 2025, Labor Day holiday. And you might be asking, why are we doing a betting podcast here where we're going to be talking mostly about the NFL on Armenian Sports News? Well, Mike, Armenians love to bet, so we'll give them some betting information. I think it'll be great. And Mike, you and I have known each other for almost more than 10 years now, working together at New England Sports Network, right? New England Sports
That
News.
is what I call it. Yeah. Yeah. It's New England Sports
Nesson.
Network.
New England Sports Network. I don't know why I just
That's
blacked
why,
out.
yeah, as far as I haven't been there in a while, but last time I was there, that's what it was. So maybe
Yeah.
it's changed since then, but I'm pretty sure they're still going by New England Sports Network.
And we did the Spread podcast there. It was a podcast called The Spread, and they shunned the name many times there. So might as well just keep it for ourselves now, since they didn't like it very much.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we had the IP on this or not, but I think it's pretty ubiquitous, and I think and we might have even been accused at points in the past of having good traffic because of the name and people maybe looking for some unsavory things, which I'm sure
Yes.
you don't really dabble in here at the Armenian Sports Network. But one thing I did think of earlier. I feel a little out of place. Just to, I don't have the blood, but I was thinking about this. I was like, you and I are really good friends. It's been about, like you said, 10 years. I used to frequent the meat spot. I lived in Watertown and worked in Watertown. I spent more time in Watertown than maybe any other town my entire life outside of the town I grew up in. So I that's pretty close to like honorary Armenian at this point. You know what I mean?
I agree. And considering, just for me, if it wasn't for you going to the meat spot as much as you did, and then I started going there. Meat spot was a deli in Watertown. I started going there, and I realized, oh wow, all the owners are Armenian, all the workers are Armenian, and then I
Good point.
became even more ingrained in the Armenian community because of the meat spot. And that's only because you went there. Or I would have never gone there if it wasn't for you. So
Yeah. Yeah, I lived like a block from there, 2 blocks from the museum. So I mean, it's why, by the way, why is Watertown, Massachusetts such an Armenian hotspot? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I might have to ask ChatGPT that later on. It's similar to Glendale, California. I'm not sure why all the Armenians decided to settle in. Maybe it was just the few families first settled there because it made sense financially, and then everyone else just came in. I don't know, similar to maybe why South Boston
Yeah, right.
Irish and why is
Yeah.
the North End Italian? Good question. But we're here to talk about the NFL and betting and college football and betting. And we figured this would be a good outlet to do that, separate from the ASM podcast, where we talk all things Armenian sports. But with week 1 of the NFL kicking off this week, what better time to kick off the podcast, Mike? You continue to do the podcast after I left Nesson in 2021 with our good friend Ricky Doyle. Maybe he'll make some appearances on this throughout the season as well. And the format, when I was there, at least, we would pick 3 games and kind of discuss the line and the spread and pick our winners and then maybe pick a lock or upset. But I think we're going to just truncate this to just 3 games, and we're going to pick the 3 best games because that's what most people are going to be watching. And we're going to try to squeeze in some of the Armenian athletes involved in the NFL and college
Yeah.
football. San Francisco 49ers come to mind. Brock Purdy, obviously, if you've been watching ASN, you saw that we were able to break the story that he has Armenian heritage. Jason Taktagian, who has since moved on from ASN, he was able to break that story, and he hasn't confirmed it. But then I went digging and found old documents, passport documents from his great grandfather coming from Ellis Island, to prove his Armenian heritage, 1/8 Armenian. So we'll try to squeeze in the 49ers as much as we can, and maybe even the Jaguars. Patrick McCarry, great offensive lineman for the Ravens for many years, signing a big contract with the Jaguars. But he's an offensive lineman, so maybe we won't talk about the Jaguars that much. Plus, the Jaguars stink. But let's actually kick it off with the 49ers. They have a big game, NFC West showdown, 4:05 start Eastern time against their rival Seattle Seahawks, who had an interesting offseason. Their quarterback, Geno Smith, leaving town, going to Las Vegas, and they signed Sam Darnold from the Minnesota Vikings, who had kind of a rejuvenation season last year with Minnesota. And then I'm interested to see how they do. They'll be taking on the 49ers. Where is this game? I don't see it. It's in Seattle. Seattle. The game is in Seattle. 49ers, 2.5-point favorites. What do you see in this game, Mike?
It's a tough one. I think like season long, I think these are two teams trending in opposite directions. I just am not totally sold on Seattle right now, at least for this season. Uh, they went and traded DK Metcalf as well in the offseason. And I think they've got some talent, especially in that backfield. Jackson Smith and Jigbo had a really strong, first impression. I McDonald is whatever as a coach. I just think that they're kind of ready to take 1 year, like one step back to kind of rebuild this thing. Not a full rebuild, but uh, Sam Darnold has a lot to prove, really. It's one thing to be able to do it inside with Kevin O'Connell and with, the talent that they had in Minnesota, the offensive line that they had. I think there's going to be a lot of prove it for him and see if he can do that, especially with not as many weapons, having to play outside a ton. That being said, divisional game, week one, the home team, it's hard to kind of pass that up. Um, I do think though San Francisco, like I think they're back, and I can't really tell you why, other than the fact that I think kind of like some of the shine has worn off, and I think they're almost a little undervalued at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but I still like, is this just being like completely square to be like, give me the points at home in the division in week one for a team that, you know, I feel like there's more value maybe on Seattle here at this point in this spot than there will be all season long. But I think at the end of the year, so like I would lean toward taking the points, but at the end of the year, I think the 49ers are back to contending in the NFC. And that's kind of just how I break down both of these teams, I guess. I don't know, just rambled for a bit.
What better way to kick off our reunion here on the Spread podcast than to for me to bring up yards per play differential?
Oh, hell yeah.
Which 49ers had a full 1 point yard per play differential last year, yards per play differential last year, which means the analytics like them. They just weren't getting very lucky. It seems like they had 6 one possession losses at Minnesota to Sam Darnold. And I think that was a game where Darnold threw a 99-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson from backed up on his own 1 yard line. How? I mean, he doesn't have Justin Jefferson to do that this year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I think you mentioned it too. The coach McDonald, great defensive coach, but he's not O'Connell from the Vikings, who kind of you throw in any quarterback there, and they're gonna thrive in that setting. And I think both of these teams kind of undervalued right now. Everyone's kind of picking the Rams to win that division, but I think the 49ers have more to prove. They are 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. Not even 2 years, like 18 months removed from a Super Bowl, and they have the bigger names for whatever that's worth, and they've shown that they were again 6 one possession losses last year. Usually, when you have a lot of those, the following year it flips the other way. So I would take the 49ers minus 2.5. It's not even a full field goal. If they win by 3, you still cover.
Yeah, that's the thing. That half point is. I hate to sit on the fence so much in our first our inaugural pick, but like this is a tough one. You're basically just getting the more I think about, I'm not changing it. I'll take the points. I just because like it's week one and it's random and things can happen. But it is kind of nuts to sit here and say like if the 2.5 is like the home field thing, which it typically has been in the past, like you're calling these teams equal on a neutral field. I'm not totally sure of that. This is more just like hijinks, week one stuff that I think water finds its level over the course of the season. But to your point, like with the 1-score games and things like that, I was looking it up. The Niners, I think, lost 11 fumbles last year, which was it was near. It wasn't like the top of the league, but it's near the top.
Wow,
which is one of those things that when you look for regression and kind of getting back. That's one thing that probably they'll get a little bit better with it in 25. additionally, they've had a ton of bad injury luck
Yeah.
over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And like, I do think there's maybe a worthwhile conversation to have about, is this part of like the Shanahan offense and guys get hurt more often? It's beginning to be uh like the trend is hard to ignore, but I think when you get a new season, you have to kind of assume things will get a little bit better in terms of injury luck after such rotten luck the last couple of seasons. So that is something too if you're looking for a bounce back from the Niners. I don't like, just you saying like the Rams being the favorites just kind of like made me uncomfortable to hear where I'm just like, I don't see that. I know like Stafford, I don't think you can bank on with his his injury stuff, and I don't know how talented they are. I know they find like a gem in the eighth round of the draft every year, but yeah, I like the Niners just feel solid. So
I think the Niners are going to have a good bounce back year too. I think they will make the playoffs, maybe even win the division. Their schedule is the easiest schedule,
yes, yeah,
preseason schedule. And again, there's something about a good team having a bad year and bouncing back.
yeah,
It's a real thing. I think a lot of good established teams do. The Packers historically did that with Aaron Rodgers. They had like a 7-9 year, and the following year he would win the MVP. And so I think that's what we're going to see with the 49ers this year. And I think it's going to start with week one. I think this might be, we'll look back at this and be like, wait, did we miss? Why? How did we miss that? Like you look at
see,
it.
I think that's going to be, yeah, I think they might lose, and then it throws you off the scent even more. And it's like, that was just a 1 week hiccup. There was a tough spot, scheduled loss early in the division, and then they win like seven in a row or something.
Well, I could see that as well. Seahawks, notably a few years ago when people viewed them as going to be a really bad team, was when they lost Russell Wilson, and it was Geno
Yeah.
Smith's first game starting, and he had that Monday night game against Denver where
Oh, right. Yeah.
against Denver, I think it was.
Yeah, it was because it was Russ. Yeah, Russ came back, or was that game in? Might have
I
been
think it
in
was in
Denver, but
Seattle. I
oh, was it? Yeah. So
feel
either
like
way, he
Colby
played the Seahawks
Parkinson.
his first game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a big Colby Parkinson game. He had like 2 touchdowns or something,
Of
and
course, that's what everyone remembers it for.
I have to look this up now. It was 2022, I think. Wow, how was that 3 years ago now? That's
I
crazy.
know.
It wasn't even a blowout. It was 17-16.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was not. I don't think it was a very visually pleasing football
Yes.
game.
Here it is. Yeah, Colby Parkinson, 25-yard touchdown pass from Geno Smith. I think everyone remembers the post-game press conference from him the most. Will
Of course.
Disley also had a 38-yard touchdown pass. Random tight ends. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Clearly, the Broncos that year were very poorly coached with Nathaniel Hackett. The 49ers are much better coached. They have the coaching edge. They have the running back edge. They have the skill position edge. I think they even have the quarterback edge. Brock Purdy's been to the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold hasn't. So I'll take the 49ers. Did you take the 49ers too? I don't know.
I'm taking the Seahawks just because I think like week one, there's just weird stuff that happens where like I always think of, who did the Jaguars beat? Oh, was that the Colts? Was it the year that like the Colts had, it might have been like Andrew Luck's last season where the Jaguars were expected to be like, people thought they were legitimately going to go 0-17, and they beat the Colts. Was it? I forget who they.
Their AFC Championship year.
I don't know. No, there was a year that they ended up, they stunk. They still stunk, but they won in week one despite being like 13-point underdogs. Like just, and then you look up at the end of the year and you're like, I can't believe that happened at certain. You know what I mean? Like there's 3 or 4 games per week one, it feels like, that are like that, and I think this is one of the perfect spots for that. So I would grit my teeth and take the 2.5.
Alrighty. Well, let's move forward to another late afternoon game featuring another divisional rivalry: the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Where are these two playing? I didn't write the home and away. That's my fault. Sorry. This game is in Green Bay.
It's in Green Bay. Yeah. Yep.
Packers also 2.5-point home favorites against the Lions. This one is going to be a fantastic game. I think might be even an NFC Championship preview. But what do you see happening in this game?
First of all, as a local fan, I am stoked. I looked this up last night just to make sure. I do this like as a take a drink. As a Packers fan, it's you never know like if you're gonna get games on TV. So I like a week before the games, like Comcast puts it into the schedule and you can finally look it up and see if you're gonna get this game. And we are getting this game. I think
CBS, Tony Romo special.
yeah, exactly. It's the Nance and Romo game. So like, dude, we didn't really talk about this. I'm so excited. I'm just like, I know, like, American white guy is excited that football's back, but I am excited. Like, we're gonna get I think a low key entertaining Raiders Patriots game into this game locally is as good as it gets for having two games on in the CBS window. So I'm excited for this game. I don't have a great read on it because the Packers under Matt LaFleur, both like in the macro and micro, do feel like kind of slow starters.
Yes.
In games and in seasons, even if the data doesn't back it up, it's just not always pretty. The one game in which they played their starters in the preseason was an absolute dumpster fire. They looked horrible. Again, the Jets just Justin Fields ran up and down the field against them in the first quarter of that game or whatever. It didn't look good. It was like, are you guys ready to go? I have to feel like I have to think they're gonna have a little bit of bump with the Micah Parsons thing, but I am worried about the Packers starting slow. They've had some major injury issues off season. Like Jaden Reed is, I think he's got a Harris fracture or whatever it's called. Like that, he's gonna try to play through it. That stuff lingers. They've Nate Hobbs is already hurt. I think he's got a knee injury. Their high-priced offseason cornerback signing to replace Jair Alexander. Like there's already injury issues with them. I think Detroit feels like that sort of team where like if Dan Campbell does one thing well, it's like he's gonna have his team ready to go week one on the road. And you know what I mean? Like it, do you think the Lions are getting a little overlooked? You know what I mean? Like it's losing both their coordinators. They had their best punch last year. Like that was probably their best chance to win a Super Bowl in this era. But like they're still pretty talented, right?
I think losing two coordinators
It's huge.
is
Yeah.
huge. And I think they take a step back this year. In fact,
Do you think
that's
that happens in week one though? Like, or is that a long
against
term thing, a
a
short term thing?
divisional rival. Think back to last year. Both two of Packers' losses came against the Lions, and they were two really weird
Packers
losses.
sucked in the division last year.
Well, that first loss, there was this weird play. It was like a pick six or something in their own zone. Jordan Love kind of just airmailed the ball in his own zone, and like it was here to
Oh, that's right. It was that game. It was like raining and stuff. Yeah, they almost came back and won.
it was 10-3 in this in the second quarter. It was 32 seconds left, going to halftime basically, and
Yep.
Jordan Love threw a really bad pick six, which I don't see Jordan Love this year making a bad play like that. I think he's just better. And that kind of made it 17-3. And then the Lions came out in the following quarter and made it 24-3. The Packers did come back, but that game does look different without that fluke pick six. And then the second game, which was the week after Thanksgiving, it was decided on the last second field goal. So two heartbreaking losses for the Packers. I think they come back. They're at home. They're going to make a statement. And yes, I do think the lack of coordinators might be a big deal week one, because maybe the team isn't meshed together. They haven't played a full NFL game with their new coordinators. So there can be a little bit of rust there versus a team who's going to be a well-oiled offensive machine with a better head coach, better quarterback. Come on. Jordan Love's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. He's more athletic.
Yeah.
He can do more. He can move around. And yeah, I'm not into Campbell hype. I think he was elevated by great coordinators. He's a meathead leading an NFL franchise, and I think that he's going to be really exposed this year. Don't be surprised if they're 5-12 this year and he's completely exposed and they're the last place team. That wouldn't surprise me.
A couple of interesting points to dig into. I get what you're saying. I wish we were smart enough to know this or had the insight to figure this out, because it's like I think that the two new coordinator things could go one of two ways, right? Is like it takes them 2 months to figure it out, and it looks pretty ugly to start. And
Yeah.
before, but like there's also part of me that thinks like if it's going to be good at any point, it's going to be week one when you have the entire offseason to prepare. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go week to week. Like this is going to be theoretically the best that they have to offer. You know what I mean? In week one. Yeah, I don't know. Like that could go. I think that goes either way. Um, it's yeah. I think I would lean toward taking the points here, though. I think I would take the points with the Lions. I'm not. I love what you're. I know. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I hope your lips to God's ears. This team sucks. I'm not ready to give up on the Lions just yet. I think they have a lot of talent. I've seen people argue too, like the pack, and certainly the Parsons thing changes this, but like I don't know how talented the Packers are. I There's a lot of question marks where it's like if guys all take a step, they are a Super Bowl
Super Bowl
contender.
contender.
But like that receiver room, especially with Christian Watson down with the knee injury um, for a long time, probably if he plays late in the season. I love Matthew Golden, the receiver that they took
Yeah,
in the first round, but like they a lot of good, not great, and you really are banking on like Jordan Love being a top 8 quarterback if you're believing in this team, and you're buying into Matt LaFleur being a top 5 head coach, and you're buying into them being healthy because I don't know if they have a ton of depth. Maybe that doesn't get tested in week 1 and they come out and win a game at home, but again, I think yeah, this is a tough one. We picked some tough ones this week because it's, you're dealing with that 2.5 points. It's just, it's hard to feel good about anything either way. But I would lean toward taking the points here just because there's so many question marks for me for the Packers. Parsons too, like that feels like a game changer. But how in football shape is he after not really doing much at
right.
all in the preseason? So yeah, I think I would lean toward the points here.
I was just looking at the coordinators for the Lions. Their defensive coordinator is a very unproven guy, Kelvin Shepard. Um, Played 8 years in the NFL. He was the linebackers coach for the last 3 years for the Lions. Never had a coordinator position.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's I can see the Lions defense being pretty bad this year. And yeah, they had that injury to Aiden Hutchinson last year. Is he going to be fully healthy? Who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I like the Packers at home, and I love the Packers this year. I think that's the NFC North champions right there. Uh, should we move forward to Sunday Night Football?
Oh, well, before we do, what did you think of, generally speaking, the Parsons trade as a Cowboys fan? Did you know?
I think it was. I mean, I in any sport with a salary cap, I like when teams cut bait on players that shouldn't be overpaid. So I like the fact that they moved on from him, didn't give him all this money and handicapped himself from signing um, other free agents in the future. But the way they did it, publicizing the entire drama, you just lowered your leverage and could have probably gotten more from that trade than just the 2 first round picks. Um, so I can't. It's so hard to say anything good about the way Jerry Jones has been running this team. Like contract negotiations have been so terrible. Like from the way he handled this whole trade, and then last year giving Dak that huge contract the week before the season, before he even takes a snap, and shows that they could have gotten a bargain deal if they waited until the end of the season and he had been injured, and they could have signed him for much less. But I
Well,
guess
that was
that's
the
a
yeah. Like they asked Jerry Jones, like, what you just had to trade a guy because you wouldn't pay him. What do you say to guys who are coming up on their deals or whatever that that you're gonna have to go through this every time some guy comes up and is ready for an extension? He's like, well, why don't you go ask Dak? And it's like, I don't know if you're making the point that you think you're making when you took that guy to the cleaners as well, and turns into it was a whole ordeal to your point. So I thought they did okay. It sounds like maybe they didn't shop it as well as they could have either, and it just kind of feels like they did him a solid by trading him to the Packers. With were there more? Was there a better deal out there? I think 2 firsts and a Kenny Clark is a good deal for like basically a salary dump for a guy that you didn't really want to sign to begin with. Uh, they haven't been great at drafting, it feels like in the recent years. So I don't know how good those two firsts are going to do for them, especially at the back end of the first round. But like in a vacuum, I thought it was a good deal for both teams for what it was. Like the Cowboys certainly could have done better, but as a Packers fan too, like I like that they took a shot here, and if it doesn't work, it's they could be in cap hell, sooner than later. But
Yeah,
um,
but I
you
mean
know,
they're going all in, right? Packers
he
are
makes so much more sense for them than he does for the Cowboys. So like that's why this happens, right?
Yeah. And I can also say, I don't even think it's a conspiracy theory at this point. You have a lame duck head coach with Schottenheimer, a clown. They're probably gonna be really bad this year. And who's the projected number one pick? It's Arch Manning. And what does Jerry Jones love more than anything is attention. So you don't think
Yeah.
Arch Manning, a Texas quarterback on the Cowboys, is gonna make you the most talked about team heading into the 2026 season? Absolutely will. And and those two draft picks kind of set it up. Let's say the Cowboys are mediocre this year.
Yeah.
They can trade your three first round picks to move down to the number one pick and get Arch Manning if he's
Well,
projected to be
if
number one.
yeah, if Arch Manning is the guy that they want, they might be able to just sit back and wait because if he looks like he did against Matt Patricia the rest of the year, he's not going to be the number one pick for much longer.
Very true, but that's a different story.
They
But
might be able to get him with that Packers pick at this rate.
yeah, sure. But I just it's so hard to even root for that team. That's why I'm like a sabbatical Rams fan right now.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, the Cowboys stink. The Rams are favored to win the division, so you're a Rams fan again. I forgot. I'm sorry about that.
But
Yeah.
even if the Cowboys were like stunk but were fun, like I don't know, the Chicago Bears, they're fun to watch, even though they stink every year. I don't know, like New Orleans Saints are always a fun watch. Like it's hard to root for the Cowboys.
The Saints are not going to be fun to watch this year. I can tell
No,
you that.
but in recent years,
Yeah.
Drew Brees, they would
Well,
always
like
have a bad defense. It was like
that's what the I don't want to. We don't have to spend much more time on the Cowboys, but like the Schottenheimer hiring was bizarre too, where it's
very
just
weird.
like
He just wants someone he can control. Like he
yeah,
wants control over some. That
but
team
that's
will
there's no sizzle
magically win a
there.
Super Bowl like 2 years after Jerry Jones dies. Same way the Lakers will magically win a championship now, and that the
Yeah,
Bus family sold the team.
yeah.
Anyway, Sunday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills. Again, I didn't write the home team. It's the Buffalo Bills. Their last home
Buffalo
opener
is yes, yeah.
at their old stadium, the Highmark Stadium, because they're building a new one next year. Which is, I think, really stupid, by the way. If you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, build a dome, have a retractable roof. He's going to shine then in January, and you're not going to be getting into these cold closeout games against the Chiefs and lose by a field goal because of some dumb play. Allen will completely shred apart the opponents in the dome, and they'll win those close games and then win a Super Bowl. Their biggest strength is their quarterback.
I agree with you, but I hate that.
It's their biggest strength.
I know, but it's Buffalo, man. Like it's supposed to be outside. That's like the Bears. The Bears are building a dome too, or like you know, you got
They're
teams
not doing Josh
like,
Allen any favors.
you got Great Lakes teams, and we're just building domes for them. It's soft. What is this? What is this country
Nobody was
coming
saying
to?
that about the Lions last year when they went to the.
I know, I know, I know. I get it. It's just it sucks. You're right. I don't disagree with the idea. I just don't like it.
Ravens and Bills. Last year, these two teams played, and the Ravens destroyed the Bills. And I remember this game because I may have wagered money on the Bills. And Derrick Henry, I think, ran for 199 yards, and it was not pretty at all. This year, the game's in Buffalo. Buffalo's 1.5 point favorites. Oh, they also played in the playoffs, and
Yes,
won that game. I thought
that was a pretty big one too.
that was a bigger game. But the Ravens probably could have won if their tight end didn't get Butterfingers, which I think is a great fantasy pickup. I think that one game has destroyed his reputation so much that people have kind of forgotten about Mark Andrews.
Well, like the target share with Isaiah Likely is tough, but Likely's banged up too. So to start the year, certainly Mark Andrews I think is a great play.
I don't know. I like the Ravens in this one. You're getting 1.5 points. I love Lamar Jackson. He's just the guy who can do anything on the field except for in playoff games. And this game is in the playoff game, so I'm going to take the Ravens. What do you think?
That wasn't his fault either.
It wasn't his fault, no.
I do think some of the criticism of him has been warranted in years past where, he doesn't play great in the playoffs. They had no business. The fact that or the reason that Andrews got to the point where he could drop that ball and choke away that game was because Lamar got him a touchdown late. So I love the Ravens here. So as one of my since I've spent since I've been given the boot by my former employer, I've taken some freelance jobs, and one of them that I do is for a major freelance conglomerate in which I have a handful of NFL beats that I kind of contribute to, and one of the teams that I have is the Ravens. So I've been following the Ravens fairly close this offseason, and I will tell you what, as a Ravens content creator, there's not a lot to dig into because like everything is buttoned up. Everything is set. There's no drama. There's no real roster battles. They like the 53rd spot on their roster came down to like Jay Higgins, a undrafted inside linebacker who looks like a fourth round talent. Who like it's like oh they just found a great player as an undrafted free agent, and like they might have to cut him because their roster is too good. So like, excuse me, I just think the Ravens are so buttoned up. Like, there's no real question about the quarterback until you get to January. There's no question about the coach. They are talented. I think if there's a more talented roster in the NFL, it's only the Eagles.
Yeah.
They are good across the board. I guess this is technically a revenge spot for them. I have questions about Buffalo coming into the season, not because I don't think they're good, but just it's hard to give it your best effort for as long as they have without finally breaking through. And I understand like the Ravens are in a similar spot, but yeah, I don't know. Like it feels like the Ravens have more of an open window. I think they're more talented. I think they have a little more motivation to win this game. Going to Orchard Park in September doesn't really change the equation much compared to December or January. So I like the Ravens to make a pretty emphatic statement in this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and all five of the Ravens' losses, six of the losses, if you count the playoff one, were one score or less. They were in every
It's
game last
insane.
year. They just they're not going to lose by more than a touchdown. That's how good they are. And when you have a team like that, I think they. I mean, I think you can say the same. No, the Bills got blown out by the Ravens last year.
Yep.
And yeah, every other loss was one possession or less. So again, the Bills are in the same spot. They're both really good teams. I just think long term, I don't think it's going to happen in week one, but the way Josh Allen plays the game of football is going to catch up to him. I mean, we saw it with Ben Roethlisberger, like he just reckless running down the field and getting hit the way he gets hit. Eventually, he's not like a rookie anymore. He's getting up there. I mean, it might be year 10 soon, right? Next year might be year 10 for him.
Is he really that old?
I think he's getting up there. Yeah, I think this year's year 9 for Josh Allen.
Wow.
He was drafted in 2018. Sorry, so it's year 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, year 8 for Josh Allen. How much longer is that going to be sustainable for him? He's been very fortunate to be healthy his entire career. Hasn't had any major injuries, but all it takes is one hit, and then Big Ben was healthy for most of his career too. And then the second half of Big Ben's career, you remember it wasn't that great. He was a lot of injuries, a lot of nonsense.
I will say you could probably say the same thing about Lamar.
Yeah, but we've seen less running from Lamar lately and more passing. I feel like.
Yeah, I can't believe how good he is. Like everything that you read, like the Athletic did their quarterback tiers, and Lamar finally got into tier 1, and like a lot of the feedback on him, whether it's on the record, off the record, is like just how much better he's gotten at his ability to throw the ball. Like he was inaccurate. Like that's part of the reason why he was late first round pick, right? He's gotten better than that. He's gotten better with his decision making. Like, and I think that's kind of with the running stuff where he just doesn't run as much, or he's smarter about where he picks his spots. Like that's the thing with a guy like Mahomes, right? Is that Mahomes can still run. He doesn't have the speed maybe necessarily that he had in the past or the agility, but like when he runs, it's like 3rd and 8, he gets 9. Like I think that's all you need from Lamar at this point in his career because his passing is so good. And I think that's the same thing that if I'm the Bills, like I'm looking at it right now, Josh Allen has rushed 100 times or more in all but one of his seasons, and that was his rookie season in which he played 12 games. Like,
It's
and he had
crazy.
89 carries. So these guys just take off and run. It's really just a marvel to watch. This game's awesome. I'm so excited for this.
It's going to be fantastic. And the reason why I'm also want to take the Ravens too is I just like their skill players better than the Bills. I
100%.
like Derrick Henry
You're not
more than
even
James
close
Cook.
either, right?
Not even close. Derrick Henry, I like better than James Cook. And the receivers, Zay Flowers is he's a number one now. And people forget about Rashad Bateman. He's
Yep.
always poo-pooed and saying underwhelming, underwhelming. He had 11 touchdowns last year, including the playoffs. And in the last 6 games, he had 6 touchdowns. He was a touchdown per game guy in the last in the end of the year and including the playoffs. And then they have 2 great tight ends. I like both their tight ends better than Dalton Kincaid. I like their coach better. Harbaugh is a Super Bowl winning coach. McDermott might have some Al Qaeda ties. Who
That is
knows?
true. Does this game being so close to 9/11 change your handicapping at all, or do we push that to week 2? Where I think week 2 that'll be what, September 12th, I think is, so maybe that's more of the spot to take the Bills is
Yeah.
get them
I mean, you're right about
coming
that.
off of
But
9/11.
maybe
They
I'll
What do
be
they do? They do the Saturday night pregame message like the in the hotel. That'll be I think that is maybe 9/11 the actual night. So maybe that's
what is it? Yeah, I think it's Thursday. It's
Oh,
nine
is it? I'm so
Thursday
messed
night.
up with the
Thursday night
date.
football. If it was a
Okay,
Thursday night football game, then maybe I would pick the Bills. But
sure.
uh, I
Yeah,
have
no.
you see it.
I
Sunday night game. I'll go with the Ravens. And you. This is the only game we agreed on. So I'll.
The other thing, one real quick, like they signed DeAndre Hopkins too, which has kind of gone under the radar as well. And like I was reading some stuff about him with in Kansas City. Like Xavier, he gets a lot of credit for like helping Xavier Worthy along. So like
Mm,
that could be huge for those 2 young receivers that you mentioned. Where it's like he makes those guys even better. It's almost like a second receivers coach. And I will say the defense is loaded too. Like across the board. They're so good. Like up front, they have guys that are top 100 players. They drafted that kid Mike Green who fell to them in the second round. He's a first round talent. Like they're just Malachi Starks. Like they
yeah,
just are so good. So
absolutely. And who's the Bills' number one receiver? Josh Palmer, Keon
that's the
Coleman.
problem. Yeah, like they
They might
lost.
be bad. They might be bad this year. They
I don't
might.
know.
I don't know bad, but maybe they're with the Patriots ascending, and if Tua stays healthy, why can't the Dolphins or the Patriots win the division? Why does it have to be the Bills? Uh,
The Bills kind of feel like they're in the same spot that like the Chiefs have been in recently, right? Like they, it's like we got one of the best in the world, and we'll just lean heavily on him,
yeah,
right? Like you kind of hope that Josh Allen makes everybody else around him better, like Mahomes has. Like Mahomes hasn't had a ton of you know supporting help the last 2 or 3 years, so I maybe that's
it's
the
true.
direction it's headed.
It's true, but that's why they lost the AFC Championship, right? They relied too much on
Yeah,
Josh Allen on those fourth and goal plays, and they didn't get any of them. Yeah, one of them was controversial, but when you're playing against a good team like the Ravens, and you're overly reliant on one guy. Meanwhile, the
yeah,
Ravens have all these names, all the defensive guys you mentioned. I think
yeah. You might be sleeping on Khalil Shakir a little bit, but like they lost Mac Hollins, who is not great, and like that feels like it could be a significant loss. And if losing Mac Hollins is going to be a make or break thing for your offense, that probably doesn't
no,
speak very well of your offensive talent. So
yeah, yeah, they still have good defense too. The Bills, the Bills do. They
fine,
they added
it's
some
fine.
with TJ Sanders in the draft. He's been like a big name talked about in some articles and stuff. But anyway, looks like we both agree on the Ravens.
All
We
right,
did not agree on the Seahawks and Packers games, the Seahawks and 49ers and the Packers Lions. But at least there's one agreement there. We'll see how we do with these. And Mike, anything else you would like to add Oh, I should add something. Actually, I want to add something.
Okay.
September 6th is FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Mike, did you know this? Cristiano Ronaldo is going to Armenia. Portugal versus Armenia. It does not bode well for Armenia.
What?
Plus 1,400 underdogs. I'm going to roll with that as well. Let's go. Let's make some history.
Yeah, like let's parlay some of our, parlay some of these NFL picks with, Armenia and it's just, taking down Ronaldo. Like that's hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it doesn't look good. Armenia has a new coach, untested. And obviously Ronaldo is Ronaldo. So, but it'll be good for the local fans to get a world-class talent.
What's the ceiling for like the Armenian program? Like, is
right.
it on the up and up?
Well, it's not on the up and up anymore. They were good like 10 years ago. They had a guy, Henrik Mkhitaryan, who plays for Inter Milan right now. But then the federation and Henrik Mkhitaryan, they got into a squabble, and he left the team.
Course, yeah.
He said he left the national team, and he won't talk about it. He said, "When I retire, everything will come out." So, and
so how's that playing? Like, are people mad at him? It feels
no,
like
people are mad at the federation. There's always protests at the stadium. There's
that's awesome.
It's
well, I mean, not good for Armenia.
No,
but like,
they care. People care about
yeah.
it. And, it's obviously soccer's the number one sport in Armenia, and they haven't been doing well. There's been nothing to be excited about. They just lost to the Faroe Islands in a pretty significant like international tournament. The Faroe Islands. I can't even locate that on the map. I didn't know they were a country.
I was Well, since you said it, yeah, I would. I'd be like, okay, is that?
They are actually they're not a they're part of Denmark, but it's a self-governing archipelago, part of the Kingdom of Denmark. So it's like saying Aruba, which is part of the Netherlands, and they have their own like baseball team. It's like saying you lost to Aruba in baseball, but imagine Aruba was really bad. Aruba is actually really good in baseball, right? Like
I mean, when you start dealing with archipelagos too, like that's sort of that country's up against it, where you've got to get some ferries or some planes moving people across here and there. That's a lot to deal with on top of just probably a dearth of talent. So that doesn't, you got to get that squared away.
Yeah, but I don't think this is the year. I was really hoping they would make the World Cup because
of course
it's in the United States this year. That would be really cool to have them in our own backyard. Maybe have a game in Los Angeles with a significant Armenian community. That would be sick. But who knows? They haven't even started the qualifiers yet. Unfortunately, they have to finish first place in the group with Portugal, Ireland, and Hungary. Doesn't look too good.
I'd love to see them play at Victory Field in Watertown. That would be great. Hosting a World Cup game.
They're playing at Gillette, right?
I know,
think Gillette's hosting some games. That'll be Victory Philippello Park, Watertown. Anyway, that's all about the time we have for today. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. We will come back next week.